Good. I have the community room started here. Happy Friday. Want to start off by saying that. Congratulations. If you still have funds in your account, you didn't get wrecked and you paid attention on the news. Um, a lot of movement, guys. The interesting thing, I wanted to touch on this, a little bit is I always love when we're in the community room, we're talking, and people will be in a let's say a put, like four, I don't know, 37 or something, and then we'll be sitting at 444, and they're like, it's so far away, I'm never gonna go back there, guys. In a matter of 2 days, we dropped $11 in the SPY. That's news, right? News, and not being able to break some technical analysis and such. So, I hope you guys, successfully traded that. You can see, I wanted to touch on this by a little extra today, but if y'all have tech stocks, you can do it. I want to, since I brought that up, guys, and I'm doing this huddle a little different. It's Friday. Tech stocks are very profitable if you get it on the right side. I get these side messages that sometimes, and I get people in the community will ask me like, it seems like you mostly or only trade the SPY, which I do. Then they say why? Like I do all the TA on all these other stocks, and I feel like I'm right more than I'm wrong. But one, if something's working for you, don't break it. Two, the SPY is more forgiving. It's just it's going to move a little bit slower. It's more the directional changes are more easy, like telegraphed. They're easier to read. Um, the As long as the check cashes right, I don't care what stock it is or ETF. But that's why I trade the SPY. And I bring this up because I somebody said something to me the other day that kind of triggered this. Is when you are new, if you are fairly new and you don't understand TA and you're on these TikToks trying to get advice from all these influencers that are out there, you should not be trading these tech stocks, because these tech stocks, they move so fast. And if you're right, it's super. I mean, you get that euphoric feeling like, I just made 10 grand on this trade, right? Like, of course, let me trade another Tesla one, right? Just as fast as you won 10 grand, you can lose 20. And so it's kind of goes back to the saying that we always talk about, right? Everybody wants to get rich, nobody wants to get rich slowly. So, trade something that's more your speed. That's why, when we were trading a lot of crypto, right, we traded mostly Bitcoin, because Bitcoin moves slower than most of the other stuff, right? It's more forgiving. That's why I trade the SPY. I mean, it's you're not gonna always make a ton of money, meaning like 100 grand, right, in one day off of this, but you can damn sure make 100 grand off of an Nvidia pump, right? I mean, CK made 89 grand off the one trade, right? If you're familiar with trading, you're comfortable with trading, you're comfortable with risk management and all that, by all means, trade what you want, right? But my advice to you, if you're new, you're trying to learn, you're trying to understand patterns, candle patterns, all that, the SPY's great. That's why we cover it mostly. So link in the bio. I got you, man, on Tesla. So let's talk about the SPY. Again, y'all know I love the 1 hour. Let's zoom out. I'm going to mute some of the indicators. Let's just look at the range, guys. So I was talking to someone yesterday about this, and I just deleted it, if you could see all my lines. So Fridays, I don't typically recommend people trade. Unless you have a larger account that you can do, 7, 10, 30-day trades, if you've had a great week and you're off and you're like, I want to, you can do some 0-day contracts, but just don't go crazy, right? Don't give it all back. I mean, because it's not an easy day to trade. Use Fridays as a day to learn. You can use replay. You can, I used to watch the candles, and if I saw a place that I was going to enter a call or long, right, I would just do my option V, and I would just turn this green like this, and that would, okay, I entered. Now where would I sell it? Okay, I want to sell it, let's say, be honest with yourself. I sold it right there. Oh, dang, I missed the pump. Okay, what did I miss? Why did I miss it? use Friday as education. I mean, just because you're not in there trading, right? If you feel like you always have to trade, you're gambling, and you're gonna get wrecked at some point anyway. So it doesn't matter. Nvidia, I'll do both those, but take times like Fridays, especially after these crazy news events. I mean, there's a chance that we may dump, we may pump, but there's also a chance we may just go sideways, guys. Because of the news and it's Friday. Now they're gonna try to trap some people, likely. So I wanna do a fresh start, and this is why I said I'm gonna spend a little bit more time on the SPY. So link in the bio. Just kind of hang out with me. Be patient, please. I will get to those, but I want to show you, and you can do this yourself. Link in bio if you're looking at your trading view on Tesla and on Nvidia. Every single stock that I look at, the first thing I do when I clear all my lines, right? So I had a line here we were kind of playing with, but let's take them all out. Let's get rid of them. Let's do the same thing that we do on all of them. What do we see as our upper? What do we see as our lower? Right? And so you can see, you got this one here, comes up. I mean, you can clearly see that goes up to about there, right? So we already broke that. So that's not relevant. You can take maybe here. If I pull that out, I mean, that puts us pretty low, right? 406, 407. I mean, it's probably going to be something you could put as a low if we break a certain level, but it's not anything that's super relevant for like right now, right? So really, if you look at it, you can take, maybe, I mean, this is a equal right here, right? If you pull this up here, you can use this line potentially as a rejection point, right? So if we pump up, it might hit here 442.89 and then reject because it was really good support that broke. Now I want you to think about this. Everybody, oh, well, we fell so much only because of the news and all that. The news is what breaks trend lines. I trade options. Right now we're doing mostly options. But if you can trade, if you look at this, right, we had an uptrend from May 4th, right? That has hit, multiple times of support. Even in this crash here, found support twice actually. Came here and it broke, right? So if the news was able to break this with some steam, I mean, it's not as shocking, I guess, now that we continue to break down, right? But now we're below that trend line. So we have to look at other levels of support. So obviously, the first level that sticks out here is going to be right there, right? So you have your support, prior resistance, we have some support, and we obviously have hit right there. So let's zoom in and just see if maybe we need to adjust this line a little bit. So I think it's pretty good. I mean, we didn't quite make it there, but that could have been because of this trend line, right? And we're getting a nice bounce from here. So this tells you, okay, boom, I got my first pivot, 431.45 or so. If I'm above this, I'm going to be thinking possible call. But if I'm below this, I'm not going to take a call because the risk is too great that we're going to fall to this next level, right? And around that 426 or so. And so this is kind of how I play out these ranges, right? This TA. And you can also use something simple, right? You can even just see if, okay, are we since we got a bounce, are we establishing a new line? Maybe we're gonna trade in this channel, right? You can use that as your channel to trade to watch. Then I'm gonna create my upper. I don't like this because it's a little bit too high. So I'm gonna take this 2 points right there, right? Which is still a little bit high, right? I mean, this is like 448, right? We're down at 432. So I might not even like that one. So, because I want something more localized, right, for the next week. I don't, I can look at the other stuff later. So let's take this right here and let's box that in like that. All right, so now we'll just true this up a little bit. And you can do this with any of them, right? And so now as it comes through, we know that we're gaining some support here. We know that the high of this is somewhere around 439, 438. We have double resistance if it were to come up there, right? But we're already kind of past that. So now what I'm looking at, okay, if this is going to find support, I want to see, do we get a double bottom? If we get a double bottom and a break, right, which would be a reclaim of this side, right? If it breaks, reclaims that side, I'm looking for the retest. Once I see show support, boom, ride that sucker up, right? This is how you can box it in, not using any indicators. Once you have it boxed in, you have your range. And if you're not comfortable with finding support and resistance in those ranges, right? I'll just show you briefly. And again, this is for the room mostly, but for those of you guys on TikTok, I put out this new update that tells you, if we're looking more bullish, we're looking more bearish, and we actually build the support levels for you. So if you're one that struggles on finding those, right, just, come on in, right? And even with our, I think it's like $47 membership, you get all that data. Plus you get to use the products if you want. So now that we have this boxed in at that 1 hour level, right, I want to take a look at, let's look at the zone and the Bollinger Tracker. These are our custom indicators. So you can see on the 1 hour, we did break below that 21 and it's just continued to collapse, but we have not flipped it yet. So we're starting to get some bullish sentiment because we do have green here on our Divergence Hunter. I apologize, my throat clearing me, or catching me now. Talking too much, I guess. So we do have bullish sentiment. This is flip green briefly. Typically when this flips green, especially after coming out of an oversold territory, it means we're getting some bullishness to the market, right? Now, it doesn't mean we can't pull back, create that double bottom, but it just means it's coming into the market. So we do have a rejection off of the 21 SMA. Now, I want you to look how high the 200 EMA is. 442. It's like $10 away. So if this could be and or ifs, right? You always should be creating this. If you flip this 21 SMA and you hold as support, you want to be looking more call because the likelihood is you're going to over time fill this gap. Now, after a crash like this, I would like to see a reversal pattern. I want to see a double bottom, triple bottom, something showing me we're gonna reverse, right? Inverse head and shoulder or whatever. Anything less than that, right? We may get like everybody loves to call it dead cat bounce, right? But it may not hold, so people aren't going to believe it's going to hold. But there's a huge gap in here to trade, tons of money to be made. But we have to flip this first. If we don't flip this first, it's not safe, right? Taking those calls. So you want to be really, really careful on that. But that's kind of how I'm looking at that. So I have my gap on the 1 hour. I know I have a huge gap. I know that I need to flip about 433.30 or so, right? We'll say before I would consider that call. So Bollingers were red. They're starting to turn orange, which means that the sentiment could be shifting, but they haven't quite curled inward yet. So we're not looking like we're 100% sure on it yet. Let's take a look at the Harmonic Tracker Pro. It called the short right there. So we have not called the long on the 1 hour. It called the short perfectly, nailed it, but we have not called that long. So it's it could be just a little soon, and it like we talked about. We could trade a little sideways today, right? Just building up the pattern. Let's take a look at the gap fill sniper. Interesting enough, even with this fall here, we didn't create an actual gap fill, which is pretty wild. Our gap fill sniper is showing that there's a possible bullish gap fill. This is what we talked about, right? We do have a gap here. So remember, the market goes up, it goes down, it goes back up, back down, back up, back down, right? It oscillates. It's not usually in a straight line unless something crazy goes on. But this can get as high as 30% or so separation, but it's showing that just be careful on your puts because there's a bounce that's building up. It's coming up, right? Doesn't mean we're reversing. Don't get confused on this indicator. Just it could just mean we're coming down here and you get a nice call scalp, but then we crash again, right? So don't be greedy with it. Especially if you're trading against the trend. The trend right now that we're doing is down, right? We're on if you zoom back out like we talked about, you'll when you do your studying of the markets, you always have your up, and then things start to level out, and then you'll have your down. But again, even in this uptrend, we had a crash from 444 to 431. Just like in this downtrend, we can have a big drop like this, and we can still pump all the way to 443 and still be in the downtrend, right? And so just these are things you want to be aware of it, right? When you're making decisions on how long you're going to hold it, where you're going to trail it, how tight you're going to trail the stop loss. These things are all important, and this is stuff we teach in the room when we're trading each morning. So I'm going a little more detailed into this, guys. So I only have 15 more minutes. I don't want to spend too much more time on this part of it. But that's how I go through my flow. That's how I use these indicators. That's how I build my range for my day. And sometimes, it's good to just delete your lines and start them over, right? Rebuild it, especially when you have a big move like this. Now, let's zoom out. One last thing I'll leave you guys on the SPY, and then I'm going to jump into the other ones. This line we just built is not, it's not really confirmed yet. However, if we stay below this teal line and we break this line here, right, there's a little area where we range, right? So it might find some support around 426 or so. But be careful, because if this level breaks, I mean, there's just not a lot holding it, guys. And so I always tell everybody, for a gap fill, a larger gap fill to finish, it typically needs to get to about halfway. So if you take the bottom here, take the top there, the halfway mark is roughly around here, somewhere in that 420, 418, right? Which coincides to what was prior resistance. So this prior resistance could flip as prior support. So if we do happen to break this, and it does actually happen to crash down, as you get into that 420 range, I'd be extremely careful. This is the SPY, SP 500. I'd be extremely careful doing your puts, right? Because you might get a crazy bounce. So that's my long-winded TA for the SPY, guys. I want to teach you to fish. I don't want you just to rely on somebody just saying up or down, right? So with that said, let's jump into the other ones. I know link bio you threw out the two, so let's look at Tesla, see what that did yesterday. First thing standing out to me on Tesla, looking pretty inverse head and shoulder-ish. That's the first thing. We do have strong bullish divergence here. We are green. It's in the middle, but it's heading up. We did break back above the trend line, and we are above the 21 SMA. So likelihood, it's going to push up to probably 262 to retest this 200. If we flip that 200, I mean, it's going to keep going. If this does not play out, you can almost just kind of draw, a line down. Technically, I would probably use this right here. So, if you're trading Tesla, I don't know that I even like this wick, to be honest with you. I'd probably draw something like that. And if it stays above this, right, ride the call. If it flips below it, be careful, because it's going to drop, and it's going to drop hard. The one advantage you have on Tesla is you got the strong bullish divergence behind you. Let's take a look at, but we did flip the 21 SMA as well, so that's good. That's what I was talking about. Zone Tracker's got some good support. Let's look at the other ones. Gap fill sniper, you've been a little bearish, so it's not quite gap fill ready, but the bulls can definitely step up. I need to clear. Speaking of clear my lines, I need to clear my lines on Tesla. I mean, we definitely had a gap call up here, 269. So I think everything's leaning like it definitely could get a nice little push, but we may have a slight pullback to finish kind of this shoulder if it did. The level I would watch would just be probably 255 or so. If we break that, then it's going to come down, and it's going to probably come all the way down to this level in here. So, but we do have a lot of things that are starting to show up potentially bullish. You have the blue right here on our gap fill. We have a potential pattern. We do have the divergence here. Not super strong. It says strong because of how oversold it was, but it's not a big shift on that. So, but that's kind of how I would play. It would not surprise me, guys, if I mean, we talked about this kind of ugly head and shoulder looking, right? That fell down. Typically, it reclaims this whole side right here, which it didn't quite do. So it's interesting because, in theory, we should pull the 248, but we don't have to necessarily. So we could see this as a reclaim. Then we could pump back up to retest this neckline around 264 before the actual true fall happens. So Harmonics got, I mean, nailed this one. Short, long, short, and we haven't got a long call yet on our harmonics. Yep. I know you mentioned NVIDIA, so let's jump on that. But you said Tesla too, man. I hope you better make some bank, man. NVIDIA looks the same, actually, right off the bat. Look at that, very similar. This one has a little bit stronger bullish divergence because look at the drop on the price, right? But you actually have that up, and that's what caused this push north there. You can, we did flip the 21. We might get a little retest here before it pushes up. I would suspect that, again, this one's similar, push up to maybe 421, and then I would watch that possible rejection. This trend line here, let's look and see how viable it was. Yeah, this is the one. This is the big one that was hitting the big peaks. So it's going to be a pretty important trend line, right? We could reject off of that. If we reclaim this, man, it's going to reclaim this whole side right here. It would be a crazy call to take if it could reclaim this line, which is around 421, 422. Thanks for answering that question, John. Yeah, so I would watch that. If we can get this side here reclaimed, right, with this little reversal potential pattern, I would let this pump. I wouldn't chase this, but just in case we get a crash down to the 403. I would let this push and then catch the rejection and then catch the entry on the retest, right, and then ride that up if I'm trading NVIDIA. But there's tons of support. As long as you put enough time in your contracts, you'll be okay. Because look at this, the massive support in here at 403. It's a big drop, right? But worst case, if it goes against you, you got to add some contracts. We have so much support in there. It's not even funny. Does that answer your question? Hopefully that helps you guide you today. So we got about 8 minutes. I don't see any other ones. Let's go to, let's check out the Dixie. Let's check it out. Okay, so Dixie's definitely hitting resistance, right? So it's interesting. We had 105.88 was our target. We hit 105.78, which is really, really close. Let's double check our line here. Yeah, so it was just basically off of this peak here. So if you look, see, this line actually stopped off of this line there. So what we could do is let's pull this one down there, because notice how guys, it's not coincidental that this right here is perfect to that rejection right there, right? And so this little pump here, right? And then a fall, and then a push, and then a rejection, could have just been, just extra price movement. But so let's adjust that to the 105.78. So then let's look at this a little bit closer. So first off, the dollar is extremely over bullish, right, with this push north on the daily, and so it's due for a reversal. And if you look at last time it hit this level, right, it was a pretty substantial pullback. In fact, there's not really even a lot of levels that have found support through there. It's important because if we continue to reject off this level, or we create a double top or anything like that, right, it's going to pull back pretty heavily. If it pulls back pretty heavily, that's going to shoot our markets north. Now, if this happens to break that 105.78 and hold that support, this isn't like in a whole other realm. This thing could get up to like 108 or higher, which is just going to absolutely decimate the markets. I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's more likely that it's going to continue to reject off of this and then have a pullback, which will give us a nice little relief bounce in the markets, I think. So Bitcoin is just being Bitcoin. I don't trade a lot of crypto as much. I do spot trades and stuff. I don't trade futures anymore since we got cut off, thanks to the SEC. So Bitcoin did have a nice little relief pump. We are looking like a little shoulder, a little head. There could be the chance that we're going to consolidate here like this, just like we did there, and then have another drop retest. In order for me to believe Bitcoin's going back up, it's got to break this level, 27.1, 27.2, and then hold as support before it takes off. So if anybody's trading the crypto. So live trader, I want to let me unmute these. So we actually, this was the first time we did not take a trade. And so the reason why, guys, is, if you look at the prior day, we had a killer day. I actually adjusted some stuff, but there was like, I don't know, 6 trades in there. We just had an overall great week. And with the news and being Thursday, we purposefully set our ranges pretty wide. But I wanted to show something, pretty important on it. The fact that if you notice here, we had this 432, right, as our bounce mark. There's pros and cons of setting your time frame range, because sometimes you don't want it to go all the way to end of market, right? It's just not a safe bet to do. But our call here was actually pretty good, because if this would have taken a call right here at 432, and we'd have been in really good profit right now opening up today, right? So the actual TA of the decision that we would come down to hit 432, and we did not want to take a call until 432 was great, because if you look, we didn't really have a lot of bounces. So, but I want you to think about this. This is where the automation comes in that we do, guys. If you're sitting in front of your computer all day watching this, you are going to take a trade. You're going to, and you're likely to make a bad decision. We had we were playing with this. This was yesterday, right at market open. I was talking how it was potentially forming this rising wedge. It was actually, if you go to the extended markets, it was more of a bearish pennant. But I cleared all those lines, so I can't show you. But the bearish pennant, it played out, right? We continued to go down, and then we just kind of traded that sideways, right? So you're sitting here staring at the market all day. We took I think 2 or 3 trades yesterday, live, in the room, and so we were net green. So I don't care if this sits all day and I'm out doing my thing, right? And I'm not sitting in front of a computer. Do I really care that this didn't take a trade all day? Whatever, right? I'm okay with that. I know why I didn't take a trade, because I was very, very passive on where I set my settings. I wasn't aggressive. I didn't want to be aggressive. Monday, Tuesday, maybe Wednesday, I'm more aggressive. Mondays for sure. I'm going to tighten that range. We're going to get a trade. But Thursdays and Fridays, don't be greedy. It's not smart. But the TA was good. We did hit this range. It did come down. It would have hit that had I... So this is where we have a trading zone, right? So I had it set to stop at 2 o'clock. It did not hit this zone until 3:30. So if I were to put this at, let's say, 3:45, now it would have took that trade. Actually, it looks like it would have got out. So it would have got out on the call. So we wouldn't even be in it right now. So it would have actually took that win. But again, the purpose of using automation is to trust your gut, to trust your settings, trust your TA, and leave it. If you want to trade something else, go trade something else, right? If you play with the settings on the automation too much, and you chase things too much, you might as well just live trade it, because you're being emotional, right? The idea of live trader is to spend 10-15 minutes in the morning, do some TA, set your range, and just leave it. Go to work. Go play with the kids. Go clean the house. Do what you do for the day. All right, and don't touch it. Don't worry about it. If it hits, it hits. Trust your range. Trust the technology. So I'm not going to go through the settings today, guys. I only have a minute left, and I do have to go because I got to open up the room so we could talk about our settings. This is our automated technology for options trading. You can go in, you can set all your stuff. If you're already experienced at trading or options trading, this is amazing, because you already know what all this means. If you're new, think of it like training wheels, right? We teach you how to use this. You just set up some settings and you leave. I mean, there's people in our room that are doing this that have never traded options in their life, right? And those that trade options, you guys know it's not easy. You can win a lot in options really fast, but you can lose it really fast too if you click a wrong contract, or you do something that's not correct on it. So little bit of a different huddle, guys, on Friday. I may do this more because if people ask me to do TA, I'm gonna continue to do the TA on what they want me to do it on. But if you guys don't have anything you want me to look at, I'm just gonna teach y'all something. I mean, hopefully, if you learn something, great. And look, if there's somebody on here, you're a 30-year vet trading, and you see I missed something, I'd love to learn something too. I never will stop learning. I don't care how good I feel like I'm getting. I will never stop learning because at the end of the day, it's a skill that nobody can take from you once you learn how to trade. And once it clicks, once you see it, it becomes clear. We joke about it actually because once you get into trading and you're really into the patterns and stuff, you'll be driving and you'll see mountains, and your wife or husband will see like, oh, look at that, look at those mountains. I'm like, I see a double top. It's not a mountain, that's a Head and Shoulders. It's kind of funny, right? That's how like in depth that I get with it. Like it's just that's all I see is freaking chart patterns now. But I love it. I love doing it. That's why I do it. So I appreciate you guys' time. I'm gonna end the huddle here. I don't want to go too long on these. I've been kind of getting a little winded on them. And TikTok. Normally I hang out for a little bit, but I'm gonna have to end it because I do got to get in the room to help out some people in the room. If you are curious, you have questions, guys, you can join our room for free. All you need is an email. You just go to botjock.com. It's just botjock.com. You click on it, it looks just like this. Sign up, just takes an email, and you can even come in to trade with us. We charge for our products. We use indicator, we have custom indicators, automation, all that stuff. So you want to check it out, check it out. If so, I'll see you in the room. I'll probably hang out today. It's Friday. I don't want to trade very long, so maybe 10:30, 11, something like that. We do have to work on that larger project that CK is doing. So